Lift, throttle, lift, throttle, lift, throttle, lift.
Lift, throttle, lift, throttle, lift, throttle, lift.
Yo, lift, throttle, lift, throttle, lift, throttle, lift.
Lift, throttle, lift, throttle, lift, throttle, lift.
Everybody, sound off.
Sound off.
In the front, sounding weak.
Sounding weak.
In the middle, sounding weak.
Sounding weak.
In the rear, tighten it up.
Tighten it up.
If you stop, you're gonna drop. Can't stop, running. PT, so good, all the way, all the way. Lift, throttle, lift, throttle, lift, throttle, lift.
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 Motivated, dedicated, number one, from the sun, super duper, paratrooper, everybody, clap your hands, sound off, sound off, 1, 2, 3, 4, hey,
1, 2, 3, 4, hey.
Run, we gonna run all the way, hey.
Run, we gonna run all the way, hey.
Early this morning about 2:45.
Early this morning about 2:45.
My branch chief was drinking tea.
My branch chief was drinking tea.
He had black hats standing all around his desk.
Black hats standing all around his desk.
He had 12 green hats in the leaning rest.
12 green hats in the leaning rest.
He said, bring smoke today, everybody.
Bring smoke today, everybody.
Bring smoke on Joe, everybody.
Bring smoke on Joe, everybody.
Lift, throttle, lift, throttle, lift, throttle, lift.
Lift, throttle, lift, throttle, lift, throttle, lift.
Yo, lift, throttle, lift, throttle, lift, throttle, lift.
You lift, throttle, lift, throttle, lift, throttle, lift.
Fired up, motivated, fired up, dedicated. So me and Superman had a fight.
Well, me and Superman had a fight.
I hit him in the head with some kryptonite.
I hit him in the head with some kryptonite.
I hit him so hard that I busted his brain.
I hit him so hard that I busted his brain.
And now I'm dead in Lois Lane.
And now I'm dead in Lois Lane.
Lift, throttle, lift, throttle, lift, throttle, lift.
Lift, throttle, lift, throttle, lift, throttle, lift.
Lift, throttle, lift, throttle, lift, throttle, lift.
You lift, throttle, lift, throttle, lift, throttle, lift.
1, 2, 3, 4, hey!
1,
come on now,
2,
everybody now,
3,
clap your hands now.
4, hey!
What's sounding better now?
2,
Don't stop.
3,
All right now.
4, hey!
Are you ready
2,
to run along
3,
with me?
4, hey!
Get yourselves motivated. Lift, throttle, lift, throttle, lift, throttle, lift.
Lift, throttle, lift,
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are and where you're listening. This is Wake Up Reveille. Sound the call, rise the purpose. Inspired by military tradition, this is your weekly rally cry to face the day with discipline, strength, and heart. Whether you're a veteran, an advocate, or a maker, start strong because your mission matters. Wake Up Reveilles where we rise with purpose and power up with intention.
Exactly.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing.
Yeah. Aren't we all? Did you have a good weekend?
I had a interesting weekend.
Oh.
So Friday, um, my son had to do another stupid test for state standardized testing, and I call it stupid because third graders get three letters. They have to read them, and they're not real words. Yeah, they're not real
Interesting.
words.
Ah.
It's to see if they can sound them out. Well, my son's been reading since he was 3, and he reads my books, my school books, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so he looks at them and he goes, "No, they're not words. I can't read them." And the whole purpose is to see if they memorize words or if they read them
Mm-hmm.
and sound them out. So I'm like, all right. So after 10 minutes of trying to convince him to just say something, pretend to read it, I don't know, just cooperate a little bit, just a little bit. The teacher gives up and gives him a phrase or something to read that's some stupid kindergarten type reading book.
Mm-hmm.
And my son looks at me and he goes, "No." I go, "Okay, you've been with this kid all year. You know he don't read fiction. He reads nonfiction. That's his joy. That's his. Can you just go find something on the internet and pull it up so we can read it? Seriously." Well,
Well, I
that's
gotta
not.
go by the book.
Yes, that was it. So I called my state representative. I'm like, our state standardized testing, who do I talk to complain about and how can we fix it? He's like, "Well, what do you mean?" I go, "They are not designed for kids that are neurodiverse or autistic or special in any way. You have hours of testing, and they're really not designed for any kid with attention span shorter than, paint drying." You go, "We need to, how can we do this?" So I talked to him about it and he goes, "All right, so this is what I want you to do. I want you to put together suggestions." And I go, "I got 2 right now." And he goes, "All right, let's put together suggestions on what we can do to fix this and how we can fix it. And we're going to present it to the Capitol this summer. And I'm going to introduce you to the lady that helped create the test." I'm like, "Okay." So now, coming up in August, I'll be at the Capitol presenting the story of how we can make our education system more friendly towards special needs kids and really learn how smart or lack of smart they are.
Yeah, but the kids are smart in some ways, and Other kids aren't smart in that way, but they are smart in others.
Correct. But we need to know if these kids can read or write. How do you know if a nonverbal kid can read?
That's a good question.
But if we turn it around and we um, let them read it, and then you give them different alternatives to be able to explain it using pictures, story cards, signing, other alternatives to show it so we know where they know. So we know where they can get help. Because that's the biggest problem is kids who are nonverbal are looked at like they're stupid and they're so far behind and they're just there as a waste of space when in fact they're actually very smart.
They are, yeah. I'm no doubt in my mind.
So this actually is we're giving them a chance so that we can see where they're at, how they learn, and be able to teach them so that they're not just looked at as a lump of space, that they can read and do things a different way so that when they get older they can do something outside the house.
Hmm.
Because if these kids are struggling, then we need to know it. We need to figure out, where they're at so we can, adjust our education system. Because, our education system is not designed just for the ones, or, well, they're designed only for the ones that can talk. Well, let's design it for all kids. We ramble this bullshit all the time that there's no child left behind. Well, you know what? We all know that's a load of crap.
Ain't that the truth?
So let's truly make it our education system that no child gets left behind. Let's stop looking at these kids because they can't talk. And the thing is that we make accommodations to the deaf. We don't force them to try to learn to talk. Put
Right.
cochlears in them, whatever. They learn sign. We bring in interpreters. Let's do the same thing for other kids that can't talk.
I don't know. Some people are just thick.
That's a nice way of putting it.
Uh huh. But not too much. Whenever they're that thick, um, unless you hit them with a sledgehammer, I don't think they're going to change their mind much. But you got to
Well,
get somebody above them to do.
but you also have to be able to explain it in a way that they understand it to really show their pinpoints. And
Or,
what really I've really been doing a lot of research and doing a comparative analysis. And so I've really adjusted the way I've explained autism and how therapies and how life for these kids are.
mm-hmm.
And I've done it in the sense that, boot camp and how it's really when a kid is diagnosed at 3, think of a 17-year-old going to boot camp. It's the same thing. They are taken out of their environment, out of the only place they know that's safe,
Mm-hmm.
shoved into a place and forced to do things to make everybody else happy. It's the same thing in boot camp. You are taken out of your home. You are put into isolation. Well, it used to be. I don't know about now. Now you get cell phones.
Yeah.
But you're taught how you're broken down. The only difference is in boot camp, you're built back up. Where these kids aren't built back up. They're
Right.
continually being pushed down. They're told you can't do this, you can't stem, you can't flap your hands, you need to speak, use your words. You need to and they're driven this constantly all day long for hours and days
Yeah.
in their whole life. And we're looking at boot camp as being a bad thing. It's so rough, it's so hard. That's great, but they're 17, 18-year-olds, they're adults. Now do that to a 3-year-old. Is that okay?
No.
But that's the world they live in.
Yeah, I
All
know.
to make, and they're not allowed to play. They're not allowed to be kids. And so you're taking a child and giving them up their childhood to learn how to be an adult
Way before their time.
before their time. And that is the society we live in. And a lot of parents will go, "Well, he learned to speak." I go, "Yeah, okay. He says 5 words. Great. Is your child happy? Does he smile? Does he laugh?" Those are the best parts of being a kid, being happy and getting people to see that, they have their whole life to learn to be an adult. All kids are allowed to be psychopaths and monsters. That's kind of their thing about being a kid.
Exactly.
It's your time to screw up. That's your time to learn and be a part of things. But you're giving that up to get them to speak or get them to communicate in a way that's against what and there's so many better ways of doing it.
Hmm. Oh, there's so many different ways, better ways to do a lot of things, even for the adults.
Yeah. And that's the scary part about it
Hmm.
is we are so stuck in the psychology of life and how that hasn't changed since the beginning of psychology. But we don't look at the individual person. We don't, you know, and that's where I struggled when I got out. It was like therapists always sit there and focus on the problem, the problem, the problem, the problem.
Hmm.
And then your problem of how you feel.
Well, how does that make you feel?
Exactly.
No.
And that's the same thing kids go through all day long. You
Yeah.
know, and it drives me nuts. My son looks at me, he goes, "Why do I have to know why I'm happy?" I go, "I don't know. It's your go-to emotion. I worry when you're mad or sad. I don't care if when you're happy. That's your go-to."
You don't have to ask them if they're happy. Their actions will say that.
Yes,
Oh,
but then that's the big misconception with autism is that kids don't understand emotions.
there's a lot
They
of
don't
adults that don't understand emotions,
exactly.
and they're the ones that are making coming up with the courses.
It's the same. A lot of the courses are the same that they've been since they created it back in like the 50s and 60s.
Yeah, they were wrong then. They're wrong now.
Well, my whole argument is if you spend 30, 40 hours a week in this therapy for years and you get minimal results, why do you keep going? If you go see a therapist for years and you still feel like you're crap, you stop going because they're not working.
Hmm.
Why do we do the same thing to our kids?
I don't know.
You know, I
Well,
went through therapists like water when they first words out of their mouth were, "I understand what you're going through." I go, "Really? How could you possibly understand what I'm going through? You're a civilian."
exactly.
I have clothes older than you. That was like my biggest thing is the VA hires people right out of college. No experience.
No, they're book smart, but they just
They
don't
just
have any
moved out of
street
their mom and
marks.
dad's house. And some of them still live with their mom and dad. I go, "You've never experienced the real world. How can you possibly help me?"
Yeah, 46 years old, still living at mom and dad's.
Yeah. Ain't it great?
Oh, I love it. Love it. This world is a cauldron of whatever you want to call it.
It's a crapshoot.
Yes, it is. You know, they do the same thing to people who are colorblind.
Yes.
Whenever I was growing up, I was in fourth grade, third grade. No, I was in third grade. And the teacher said, I want you to take the brown crayon and color this part of the picture. Well, I picked up what I thought was brown, and I colored, and she came walking by, and I picked up green. That's what it did. And she smacked my hand with a ruler and said, "That is not brown." She said, "Now pick up brown." So I had a heck of a time
And they used to do
in
the same thing with
school.
left-handed people.
Yeah. Oh, you should have seen me whenever I went in the military. You know these colored balls with the colored dots
The
inside.
colorblind test. Oh yeah, I failed that.
Yeah, and you're supposed to be able to see a number.
Yeah.
the
What number?
uh, the doc said, "You see a number?" I said, "Nope." He goes, "You don't see a number?" I said, "No." So he showed me another one. I said, "Same thing." He said, "What do you want to do in the Air Force?" I said, well, "I'd like to be a door gunner or something on the plane." He goes, "You ain't gonna do that." He said, uh, "You're colorblind." So I took care of that. They put me in base supply in the rear with the gear, where I thought it was safe, but it wasn't.
No. Never safe out back there.
Never.
It's like firemen on the ship.
Hmm.
The ship go. You're done.
Yeah, my son was in the Navy. He was on a Gator freighter, and he was about 25 feet underneath the water line. He was on the he was a boiler tech, machinist mate.
Hmm.
So he was way below the water line. So if they struck a mine or something in hostile waters, guess what?
He wasn't coming back.
He wasn't coming back.
I know my uncle was a fireman on the ship. And that was the first thing he told us. If the ship ever got hit, come collect the body because I'm not coming back.
I don't know if you'll be able to, because it'll probably go down. So yeah, but you know, it, you hear these things and you think, wow, and our society is promoting all this crap.
Yeah, that's it.
So we got to do something. But the more things change, the more they stay the same. You know that.
They got to find something to hate. They need to find something to go after and something to pitch and moan about. You know,
Exactly.
I truly believe that we set everything up for a reason to create this divided nation.
Exactly.
Now it's all about the transgenders and female sports.
Hmm. Well, I think somebody's putting a nipple in that one.
And it's just, it's, how many girls have to get hurt in high school in order to see boys are bigger, stronger, is the reason why there's separate sports.
Well, that's why there's two different bathrooms.
Yep.
I went to my wife and I went to a restaurant down in Dewey Beach one time, and we're sitting there, and a guy comes out of the ladies' bathroom, and my wife goes, "What the hey?" And here it was, you know, whatever you think you are or associate yourself with, that's what bathroom you can use. One day you can use a men's bathroom, next day you can use a woman's bathroom. No, that ain't happening. Know what I mean?
Oh, I agree 100%. You know, my kids no longer go to the bathroom by themselves in public
Yeah, exactly.
because too many
Almost.
bad things happen to kids in bathrooms.
Mm-hmm. My grandson's 20, and sometimes I worry about him going to the bathroom by himself. The way some of these guys are.
Well, it's like, in the military, we get separate bathrooms.
Yeah. Got different sleeping arrangements, too.
Hmm. It's the only time in the military where you're allowed to be a girl or a boy. Otherwise you're a soldier.
Exactly.
It's like they're making a big deal out of. Apparently, they've arranged it now so that there's an all-female crew of Blue Angels.
Yeah, I heard about that. Well, the commander that's flying with the Blue Angels now, she's the first female uh, commander of the Blue Angels. Did you hear that?
I did. My
They were
question:
just in Harrisburg.
did they earn their stripes the right way, or did they get them for being a girl?
No, no. The commander went through a lot of. She went through a lot more than what the guys did because they were trying to make her quit, and that's just wrong there.
Oh yeah, but they do that all over in the military.
Yes, they do. If you're different, or if you don't uh, match up to the masculine uh, service or masculine thinking that everybody else thinks you're supposed to have, then you're toast.
Mm-hmm.
And that ain't right either.
It's like when I was going through my divorce, my ex, we were still legally married. He literally the day of payday, cleaned out my account. So I was literally broke.
I believe it.
And my commander goes, "Well, you should have been home with him."
How the hell am I supposed to go be home with him if I'm in the military?
Yeah, well, that was that, but also, shouldn't he have been here with me?
Yeah,
He
What kind
did.
of oil?
Yeah, he did nothing to help me. I was just SOL. And then he tried to court martial me because of a couple of my checks bounced because I knew my check was coming. So I wrote, got some stuff at the PX the
Mm-hmm.
day before. So I know, the next day my check would go through. I'm like, go to get help. And he's like, oh, it's your fault.
Nah, how the hell can it be my fault?
Because I'm a woman, it was my job to cook and clean and.
Yeah. The male thinking is keep them pregnant and barefoot and keep them in the house,
Yep,
right? Isn't that the male thinking?
it is.
And it's bullshit.
My husband tried to be a smart ass one day about that because I just felt like crap for like a week. So I got nothing done in the house. So my house wasn't clean. And he's like, so what do you do all day? You sit on the couch and eat bonbons or some smart comment like that. I'm like, all right, you want to play this game? Fine, let's play this game. His boss was in the background, could hear me because he had me on speakerphone. And his boss goes, you don't want to open that can of worms. So the next day, I get up, I call him. All right, I'm up. I'm going to the bathroom. I'm done with the bathroom. All right, I call him back. I'm done in the bathroom. I'm gonna go make breakfast. Call him back up. I'm done making breakfast. I'm gonna eat breakfast. I did that all day long. His boss is just laughing his ass off. Do you really want to fuck with her? Because she
Yeah.
takes it to the whole new level. After about 4 hours of that, he's like, enough. All right, I get it.
Oh,
Don't screw with me. I'll screw with you back. I'm just smarter at it. It's the art of
I'm
warfare.
yeah, exactly. I'm not olive oil in Popeye. She's all the time laying on the sofa eating bonbons.
I always think of when he says that, I think of Peg off of Married with Children.
Oh yeah. I wasn't a real big watcher of that, I should say. So I don't know. So how we doing in the ratings?
Doing pretty good.
Yeah.
We have, I gotta transfer a lot of the shows from the live over to the folder, but we got 5 people on right now.
Yeah. Only problem is I don't see him.
That's because they're just listening. But as always, the call in line is open and the chat is open for any questions or comments or anyone who wants to put the 2 cents in.
Exactly. We're always open to that.
Yeah.
Hey, I had a good weekend this weekend, even though it rained like a banshee. um, Last month I was invited to a air show up in Reading by a Marine, and his unit does reenactments of different battles of the Pacific, and they do it to help raise money and things for the Paris Island Museum.
Mhm.
Well, he met us. He met me and my grandson and my wife over at Cracker Barrel, and we were talking and things, and told him about my uncle, who was a Marine, who was killed on Bougainville in '43, and he was a recipient of the CMH. And he said, "Wow," he said, you got to meet my commanding officer." And he said, "Why don't you come up on uh, June 7th, which was Saturday?"
Mhm.
And he said, "I'll introduce you to the crew and to the guys, and uh, what we'll do is uh, we'll have you talk a little bit about your uncle and things like that." So I didn't tell him what I had planned. I actually took the medal with me and a booklet on the ship that was named after him, the USS Robert A. Owens, and a book called A Ribbon and a Star, which was written by Robert's lieutenant at the time, who actually wrote the account that um, had uh, Robert killed. And so I had all these things, and they they did went out and did the reenactment and everything. It just rained, poured, beat the band. And I said, "Oh crap!" And then it cleared off, and whenever they came back in, they were all wet, soaked, and everything. They marched back in the rain and everything, which is neat. But afterwards, we he had them all uh, got everybody together, and I stood in front of them and read the citation and showed them the medal, and the major said, "Are we allowed to touch it?" And I said, "Yeah, anybody who wants to touch it can." So they all came up and they touched it, and it's like a passing on of the spirit of the metal uh, into them, and they thought that was really really cool. And then I presented everything to the group, and their photographer took all kinds of pictures and everything, and sent took pictures of the metal, both front and back, because on the back it has his deed, what he did, and it was the guy told me, he said, "Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna get these pictures developed. You're gonna get a copy. We're gonna get a copy, and we're sending everything else to the Paris Island Museum. So it will be in Paris Island."
Cool.
So I was happy about that. Then in October 6th through the 10th, my wife and I are going down to Norfolk for a shipmates reunion. And they got a lot of things planned there. And this is all the shipmates that were on board, that had served on board from 49 to 82. That's a lot of guys.
Yeah.
Of course, a lot of them are passed on, but still, I can uh, I can hardly wait for that. So, and I don't think they need to name aircraft carriers after presidents.
Only if presidents did something worthwhile in their presidency or did something in their life.
No,
Like, for
no,
instance, like George Washington or Eisenhower, Lincoln, not modern day presidents.
they ought to go back to naming them after battles of the
Hmm.
Pacific. And what got me was all of our carriers were in the Pacific. They weren't in the European theater. Do you know that?
Hmm.
It just dawned on me. I said, huh. And yet they claim that D-Day was the biggest naval armada in the history of naval warfare, which is a bunch of bull. And the biggest naval armada was off the island of Okinawa.
Yeah. But we don't learn much and talk much about, the Battle of in Japan.
No, I talk to people about Operation Cherry Blossom, and they look at me like I got three heads. And these are Marines.
Yeah, we're solely focused on Germany when you learn about World War II. And we don't ever discuss and talk about World War One.
No.
I just went to a garage sale this weekend and I bought a book from like 1920, and it breaks down what caused World War One.
Hmm.
I mean, even when you look up documentaries, there really isn't any on World War One.
Yeah, I think it's the paradigm's starting to shift on that though. Usually, if you want to find out anything about World War One, you got to look up the weapons of World War One.
But what happens if you don't know what the weapons are of World War One?
Then I guess you're SOL.
There's my point.
If you want to know bad enough, you will find out. Dig a little deeper, I guess. I don't know.
And I have a book that was written right after World War One by a general, and it breaks it down a little bit differently. And sitting there reading it, and I'm watching, other stuff that's been made now. I'm like, oh my gosh, how these stories change over the years to make one side look better than the other. When we don't even think about it, really, it's the crap that happened in World War One that made Hitler who he is today.
Yeah.
And you break down that little bit of history between World War One and World War Two, and the crap that was done to Germany was the reason that we started World War Two was started. I mean, granted, Hitler's an egomaniac to begin with. Okay, not a good guy, but France kind of had it coming a little bit.
Yeah. I'm not going to argue that.
They were poking the bear.
Yeah, that do work. Well, NATO, all the allied nations were poking the bear. They poked it really hard.
Well, it's like there's news articles that are coming out about Pearl Harbor and how it was a conspiracy to bring us into World War II and how we could have prevented Pearl Harbor. It's like, looking at communication from a modern version to then, it's like, do you know how many relays there are from it?
Yeah, the Army had trouble getting the radar unit up and running because they had to go up to, they had to get permission from the National Park Service
Yeah.
to put it up there. It was on the highest point of Hawaii, which was crazy.
And we were peacetime. That's the big thing is we are peacetime. We,
Yeah. Peace, peace. There is no peace.
no. My favorite now is even still, we blame Russia for everything.
In China.
Yeah.
We blame Russia for Vietnam. We blame China for North Korea.
I'm still trying to figure that one out. How is it Russia's fault for Vietnam?
Because they sent, America sent uh, advisors back in 59. Well, in 65, we started sending troops because Arvin, the Army of the Republic of Vietnam, wasn't able to hold back the so-called Viet Men or Viet Cong, as they
Mm-hmm.
called them. So we started sending troops in 65, and Russia said, "You send troops, we're going to send advisors," and that's pretty much basically how that formed up. And Russia sent advisors. They didn't just send advisors; they sent weapons, AK-47s, the Kalashnikov. They sent all kinds of weapons. The Saber jet, the MiG at the time. They sent those in. They were just basically ramping them up for a knockdown, drag out fight. And we got knocked down and we got drug out. because our politicians couldn't leave their hands alone out in the field whenever a unit would encounter the Viet Cong or the enemy. They had to radio back to base and ask permission to fire. I got news for you. Somebody's shooting at me. I'm shooting back.
Well, right.
I'm not asking permission. I can court martial my little ass. I don't care. Know what I mean?
Right. They did
And
other things. They did things like that now, and like Rocky Freedom. They changed the rules of engagement, and
mm-hmm.
can't fire unless fired upon, but you have to make sure that they're not friendly.
Yeah. Too much friendly fire.
Well, it was too many stupid kids doing dumb
Mm-hmm.
shit.
Yeah.
But the hard part was like overseas, you don't know who friendly or is. You know, they took warfare to a whole new level. They would strap kids with bombs. They, got open up dogs and put bombs in them. They, women who were wrapped with bombs and blow you up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you don't know who's just because they look friendly or whatever doesn't mean they're not gonna blow you up.
Doesn't mean they're not going to kill you.
Exactly. And it's not like they did it by choice. The enemy is a ruthless, evil people.
Yeah. Well, whenever I was over there, they always told us, he said, trust your instincts because everything here will try to kill you.
Uh-huh.
If it wasn't the spiders and the scorpions or the snakes, it was the monsoon and the people.
That's it. Then you had the flooding on top of that.
Yeah. In the bomb bunkers, they said if you go into a bunker and there's water in there, don't step in the water.
Yeah.
I didn't take a shower for 3 weeks.
Mm.
Oh man, that was it was getting to the point where I couldn't stand myself either.
That takes a lot because you get used to your smell.
Mm, yeah, that was something else though. But uh, I'd do it all over again.
You know what? I would too.
Yeah, these pansies they got now, I wouldn't trust them to have my back for nothing.
But it's because they're not taught. You're not programmed anymore in the military to be a team, a unit. It was the army of one, which was meant to be the army of one group. You're all a soldier. No, it turned into the army of me, myself, and I.
Right. Well, that's three people, according to them.
Yeah. Well, it was, what do you get out of the deal?
Mm-hmm.
But that's society in general. I mean,
Oh yeah.
people would rather sit there with a cell phone recording you getting beat up than actually intervene or call the cops.
They don't know how.
It's like I teach my daughter how to be socially aware, and we've turned it into a game so that she's aware of her surroundings
Mm-hmm.
at all times, because you just don't know.
No, you don't.
It's like last week, so my son's autistic, and so he ran off. I was gone literally 2 minutes, long enough to pee and come back, and he disappeared. And granted, thank God he, ran a straight line, and thank God it wasn't the hour that he did it, not an hour later, because he was headed towards um, the train tracks, and then the train tracks by our house are on a private road, so there's no arm or lights or anything. So it could have
Mm-hmm.
been worse. And a lady tried to stop him, but he kept running around her. Nice old lady, but I know he'll never get kidnapped. But now he's on a mission to, see how far he can get to get back
To get back where?
home.
No. Before you notice he's gone?
No, it's more for him. It's a challenge, like doing land nav, basically.
Oh.
So if something happens where he ends up somewhere he ain't supposed to be, keeping track of his surroundings so he can get back home.
Hmm.
Because he overheard us talking about, kidnappings and things like that. Because there's been attempted kidnappings in a couple towns over.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm over paranoid about things like that.
Oh yeah.
I grew up with the family of Jacob Butterling when he disappeared. I was friends with their cousin.
Hmm.
So I saw that stuff firsthand. And I have an older son who's 22, who his dad took him and disappeared when he was 5 months old.
Hmm.
And so I am over paranoid about stuff like that. And so now he's challenging himself to make sure he's aware of his surroundings and how to always make it back home.
Hmm. Well, that's good.
It is. He's just not socially aware about cars and things like that yet. And he's not responsible enough, vocal enough for me to let him go anywhere without supervision of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
Because if he gets lost, I don't think he could ever say, where he lives
Right.
or who is, you know. Luckily, we live in a small town, so everybody knows where he belongs. But
Still. Hmm.
it's just a fact of life.
It is. Yep. Live life to the gusto.
Yes. So next week, I thought we could talk about transition. Um,
Transition as in
When you leave the military, you're in routines, and how when you get out, even if you've been out for 30 years, how to create your own routines.
Hmm. Okay.
To um, be able to get back in a routine, because instead of it being when you're forced into this routine, now
Hmm.
it's options, and a lot of times the options are more overwhelming than anything.
Right. It's not a set schedule routine.
No.
I mean, basic training, you got up at 5, breakfast, go back, clean up, get ready for PT. That was my morning.
See, in the army we had PT first, then breakfast.
No, because we we were allowed to eat just enough so that we didn't throw up.
Throwing up on runs is not always a bad thing.
No, but it's definitely going to get you yelled at.
Really?
Oh yeah.
In the army it was kind of encouraged. That showed how hard you worked.
Mm-mm. No. Air Force would say, what are you doing throwing up on my deck?" Whenever I was in tech school, my class didn't start for about 2 weeks once I got there. So I was able to go over to the Airmen's Club, and I go over there and I drink a lot. It was in Denver, so it was higher than what I was used to. And the person that was in charge of the barracks that I was staying at said, "You come back drunk, I don't care. You come back drunk and throw up on the floor, you're going to be cleaning it up with a cotton ball." So,
That's a little different.
yeah, I never, I didn't want to push him, so I drank just enough and went to the store. That was it. Did my laundry. Laundry's always a good day.
Yeah. I miss laundry service.
So do I. Mm. But yeah, transition. That sounds like a interesting topic. So we can do that.
Alrighty.
Sounds like a plan.
Alrighty. So join us next week for talking about how to transition, create your own routines, and how to not be overwhelmed by the lack of anything.
Exactly.
So have a good day, have a good night, and we'll see you back here next week. Same time, same place.
Same bad time, same bad channel. Because you know how it is. We're all just a little batty.
That's it.
And proud of it. Exactly.
So have a good day. Have a good night.
Yep. Have a great week. See you next Monday.
Bye for now.
Bye.